Paul, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You look remarkably relaxed for someone who is just about to open the other palace.
It's crazy. We are about to not only open the other palace, but we're also about to open the Wild Party, which will be playing our main house, the first show under the new regime, and also down here in our studio we're going to be opening Murder for Two, which is a co-production between the Watermill Theatre and myself.
Fantastic. Does Her Royal Highness know she has new neighbours?
She actually does. She really does. I'm not sure if
she could on a quiet night, if there's nothing on the telly, she could like slip
put
in
a
the bar.
headscarf on and pop over. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell you this story, but I'll tell you anyway. But Andrew and Andrew's wife Madeline know the Queen.
Yes.
And Andrew spoke to the Queen about the name change when we changed it from the St James to the other palace.
How did she feel about it?
And she thought it was a great idea. So if it got her approval, then we knew we were going to get the approval of Westminster. So yeah, fantastic. She knows we're here. We're literally a minute away. We're so close.
It's literally done. Yeah. Right. And you're having as part of the renaming and the rebranding and your instalment here. It actually, and coming here, Victoria has changed. I mean, this is exciting times, not just for the other palace.
They've moved the tube and everything.
Yeah.
We actually arranged that.
We
spoke to TFL and we said, do you mind just moving up the road?
It's good when they have people like us in mind.
Exactly.
But this is sort of a change in what the St James, now the other palace, has been doing, insofar as it's a bit more of a focus of it being something of a place to try out things or
exactly. It is a completely different vision, I guess, to the last 5 years. The vision really is to be an incubator and a playground for new musicals, and that sounds terribly profound. But what it really means, in essence, is we're going to be working with writers and launching initiatives that allow writers to come into the building and go through various the initiatives and essentially be given an opportunity to play, to try and work on the musicals that they may already have or musicals that have existed somewhere else, and really give them an opportunity to get it right. And it really stems from Andrew's work on School of Rock, whereby he took over the Gramercy in New York for a few weeks, and Andrew's convinced that it saved millions and millions of dollars, by allowing to let the material breathe and let the material work, as opposed to being subjected to what big sets do. Because suddenly if you're in the theatre and you're in tech and there's a big piece of automation, then there's not a lot you can do.
No.
And you have to close the show for 2 days whilst you change the automation.
Or work around it.
Yeah. And this really is going to put the focus on the material and getting the material right.
Yeah, and then you move on from there.
Exactly.
What does an artistic director do?
Really good question. I don't know. It's my job, really, to find the new work, to instigate new work, so direct commissions, but also to manage a team of people and make sure that Andrew's vision, which is essentially that this is the kind of royal court for musicals, that's what we want going forward. And it happens a lot in America and it happens a lot here with plays. But this notion of having a home to develop new musicals is quite new to us here. And we're very lucky that someone like Andrew has really put his money where his mouth is and invested in this incredible venture.
Apart from anything else, I mean, it's such a fantastic venue. You've got the studio downstairs, you've got a lovely theatre upstairs, the sight lines are fantastic.
Yeah.
The foyer, I mean, every time I walk past, I just want to go in for coffee.
Exactly.
It's one of those places where you actually want to come to, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's the dream, that the space will start to be used in a much more animated way, so that we're building a stage in a very small stage in the bar, and the idea is that we'll have open mics, and in the daytime, people will be whizzing around with post-it notes and sheet music, and it becomes a hub for writers to come. And the thing that we have here, very simply, is beautiful spaces. We've got an incredible main house, we've got the studio, and that actually there's no reason that if the space is free, let's get people in, let's get them making things.
It's a good idea, isn't it?
I've been so lucky, and I've started to kind of develop a very clear taste of the kind of musicals that I choose. And it's the ones that everyone else is scared to do.
I was going to say, because Wild Party didn't really garner a great deal of
it didn't
great
originally.
reviews or anything. Is it going to be different from the original?
It is going to be different.
Broadway?
I mean, listen, I of course, I think it's absolutely brilliant. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. I think the reasons why the Wild Party, first of all, is because for me, Michael's work on his version of the Wild Party is so sexy and is so clever, and that 1920s kind of rough, dirty jazz sound with that incredible brass noise that it features. It felt like it set exactly the right tone to how I wanted my regime at the other palace to be, and it's audacious, it's out there. We're so blessed, we've got the cast of all casts. I went to a sing through a week and a half ago, and just when you think it can't get any better, it gets better. And
so it's going to be different from the original.
The physical production, completely. Right. Yeah, it's Drew McConey. Drew and I first met in the Heights, and Francis Raphael, who's playing Queenie for us, brought the title to me about 4 years ago, and we've been plotting and working out what the right trajectory for this title was, and then the ducks were all in a row, and it was the right thing to do when Andrew asked me to be artist director of this venue, and it felt like, yes, that's exactly the right show to set what's to come.
When if I had the ability to time travel and go back and speak to a young you at school, did you have any inkling that theatre was something that you would want to do? What were you doing then? You know, were you the kid who coloured in or tried to put
always
on...
had too much to say for myself.
Okay,
always.
Well, that's sort of good for an artistic
exactly. But also hugely, I still pinch myself now, and it was really In the Heights that changed my life, and I've said it very,
isn't it?
Yeah, and the irony is, In the Heights happened, and everyone said, "Who's this new producer?" And I'd been painting my own sets in back rooms of pubs for 6 years.
Yes.
And I don't take a second of it for granted, and I find myself, with Lin-Manuel and Andrew Lloyd Webber, thinking, how the hell did this happen?
What's your greatest wish for this place? If you could look back after the first year, what would you like someone to say? Oh, that other palace, it's, like...
Good question. I think my greatest wish for this building is that in 5 years' time, and I think it's going to take 5 years because we have a marathon to run with this venue, and it's certainly not a sprint. And I'm making sure that I'm working with all of the organisations that are currently doing this, so that it's not a competition. We need to work with all of our colleagues.
Of anything.
You need to talk to people, and you need to share ideas. But the greatest wish is that in 5 years' time, there's one show that's been developed here in our studio that's then gone to the main house. Yeah, that's gone on to have a life somewhere. And I'm not going to say commercial life, and that might sound really, really odd, but I always use Andrew as an example because he owns the building. But if someone had come to me now and said, I've got this idea for a musical based on a poem about cats,
story,
or
a biblical
about
story like Joseph,
or people wearing roller skates pretending to be trains.
Well, I mean,
you just kind of scratch your head, wouldn't you?
Because it was the biggest flop until it wasn't a flop anymore.
And what do we know? What do we know? Yeah. So it's crucial that I have an absolute openness to the weird, the wild, and the wonderful, really.
Well, on the cusp of this reopening and renaming of this venue, good luck. Break a leg.
Thank you so much.
Tremendous success.
Thank you.